NERDSoul.
Woo! Haha. Late ill kid at OneYoungsta holding it down, bringing that street geek and NERDSoul. What is up, my people? Today, oh yeah, coming with another wonderful episode of That's Right Specials. We are here to talk about Madam C.J. Walker, and I am not by myself. Like I said, I'm joined by the lovely lady Lisa. Say what's up.
Hey, y'all.
Oh man. So we watched the show. We enjoyed some of it, but there are some things that were interesting to us that we wanted to point out. And I guess we can start with one thing that I always thought is that she created the hot comb. I always thought she created it, but she kind of just improved it. Like she made it hot.
Or did she? I mean, I really don't know. They didn't touch on it at all, and I don't know if this is something that I just missed, and that myth was debunked some time ago or what have you. I don't know. But I thought that was her big thing. Madam C.J. Walker created the hot comb. That's what I thought. But
Yeah. So that's what I was thinking. So we found that out. But I wanted to go back kind of to early on, because there's, I believe, 5 or 6 episodes. Early on, she's with Addie Clark, right? I think it's Addie Clark. And she has her own magical hair growing formula and stuff. And we see the trauma she went through with her first husband and why there's an issue with the hair. And the problem is she doesn't want, Madam C.J. Walker to sell her product, not because she can't sell it, but more because you don't fit what I think is beautiful. And we get smacked in the face very early on in this series with pretty privilege, colorism, and a touch of self-hate. Because we find out, Addie's mother later on in the show, stuff like that.
yeah, I mean, but but it was reality, back then, and it was, it was. I would say it was pretty pronounced back then. It wasn't something that was like an underlying issue. It was a in-your-face, everyday, matter-of-fact issue.
Mm-hmm. And I like that they handled it. I mean, how they did. I mean, of course, it was hurtful to see, but we saw very clearly where Addie and CJ stood. We saw that she clearly saw CJ as someone who was beneath her. Oh yeah, Madam Walker, as someone who was beneath her, and sort of like a charity to a certain degree.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even though they had an even business exchange. She was doing her laundry in exchange for hair service, which is an even business exchange.
Yeah.
Addie just didn't see it as even.
Yeah,
you need your laundry done, but you looking at me like I'm beneath you for doing it.
Yeah, and thank you. And it was just, it did a good job of setting up the fight that she had in front of her and kind of what drove her. Now, the sad part is, this was a great fire and also a great detriment to her later on. My question to you is, what did you think about the whole boxing thing early on? Because to me, it didn't really fit. I saw what they were doing, but it didn't fit for me.
Yeah, I understood what they were trying to do and trying to show us. It didn't fit. It felt weird. It felt forced. I don't know what other way they could have done that. I don't know that they really needed to, quite honestly. I think you need to trust that your viewers understand that this is a battle. If you have directed your actors and actresses correctly, and if your actors and actresses are talented enough, they can show us what a battle is, how much of a battle it was for her. And we were able to see that without you putting in the boxing. We didn't need that. We could see from Octavia Spencer, because she is a great actress, we could see how this was such an internal struggle for her, and it was a battle for her. It was a sense of challenge for her. We didn't need you to put that in, and it just felt out of place. It felt really awkward. It felt really weird. So I see what they were trying to do, but too many times I think we watch things and the directors or producers or whomever don't trust their audience enough to be able to figure things out. And so you want to spoon feed them to the point where it's like, I could have figured that out, but thank you.
Yeah, it's like, thank you very much. I wanted to talk about C.J. Oh, C.J., her husband. C.J. was actually an extremely loving and what we would consider progressive man at that time. How he supported her, starting up her own business, entrepreneurial spirit, also moving to Indiana, I believe, for her.
Yeah, for her, because he said in one breath, I love you, but I ain't moving. And then the next scene we see that they're gone. And I want to speak more on that, because from the moment they introduced him, he loved her. He adored her. He was crazy about her. He was concerned about how she felt. He was concerned about her dreams. He was concerned about her feeling loved, feeling appreciated, feeling beautiful, feeling adored. He was concerned about all those things. He was all about her. He was all about her. And he, like you said, he was progressive in the sense that he allowed her to run their household. For all intents and purposes, she ran their household.
Yeah, she was definitely in the forefront.
Back then was an absolute no-go, an absolute unheard of no. You know what I mean? It just wasn't heard of. And I think he loved her and adored her so much because of the fire that she had and the passion that she had for her dreams.
Yeah, he believed in her.
He believed in her, which is great. And he allowed her to take over their family, to take over in terms of decisions that were going to be made about their family, about where they were going to live, about what they were going to do. Everything centered around her and her dreams and her plans and her wants. And that's rare. That's really rare. They never, as far as I remember, they never even spoke on what he really did for a living.
We got that he was doing ads, but we didn't know for what company or what ad agency. We just know that he was creating ads and he would do like the slogans and stuff like that. But we didn't really know for who, but maybe he was freelancing. Who knows? Okay.
And something I just thought about, it seemed that he was well off, when they first got together, because when he first started seeing her, they first introduced us to him, and he was coming to her house, and I think that was the day everything went down with Addie.
Yeah.
He was dressed very well. I remember him walking in. He was dressed very well, and I think he had like flowers or something he brought to her, but I just remember how he was dressed, which of course symbolized how well off he was, versus how she was dressed, because of course she wasn't well off, at that time. Yeah. And so I think that's important to note, that he was doing well before she was doing well. So it wasn't a thing of he was trying to mooch off of her.
Yeah, trying to like hang on her coattails or something like that. And it was hurtful the way at least the way they portray it in this, that their relationship fell through, because the way it's portrayed, you see Madam C.J. Walker essentially belittling him, marginalizing him, ignoring him, treating him like a employee, and then taking all ownership and all credit for work that the family as a whole did. And him being kind of always feeling like he's in the background. And then for it to turn and make it seem like he's sort of like this bad guy. I thought that was kind of messed up. Now, he did get caught up with Dora. And, Dora and, Addie Monroe. Excuse me, not Addie Clark, Addie Monroe. But he got caught up with Dora and then, subsequently, like Addie stuff. But I believe he got caught up because of that feeling of loss, that feeling of needing and wanting, because the way they try to portray it later is where Madam C.J. Walker said, "You broke me."
Yeah, and I was like, no, she didn't say you. I don't think she said you broke me. She said you never go back to what broke you.
Yeah,
and it's like, but he didn't break you. I never got the vibe, the feeling from her that he broke her. Did he hurt her? Yes, of course that hurt. But I never felt that she was broken because of that. Addie broke her. You know, that was a clear indication that Addie broke her from, what transpired in terms of her, not wanting to let her, sell her product and saying what she said to her. That broke her. You could tell that really did something to her. But in terms of her husband, I didn't see that as breaking her. I really didn't. It's like, I think it took her aback more than anything, because I think she felt like she had everything in control. Mm-hmm. Everything was going well, everything was in control, and she seemed shocked by it. And of course you're shocked. You haven't paid attention to him in God knows how long, and and then, oh my God, he's having an affair on me. I never even knew. But the thing is, I was tripping on that night when she was upset when he did his darndest to get his
Booker T. Washington.
Was it Booker T. Washington?
Yeah.
To get Booker T. Washington over to the house, and he went about it the wrong way, but I think it was because he was so desperate. He knew how badly she wanted him to come over there and wanted to make it happen. And he wanted to make it happen. He went about it the wrong way, but again, he was trying to do whatever he could to please her. And then once she found out that wasn't going to happen, she shut down, threw everybody out, pretty much, which was crazy. And totally ignored her husband at that point, and didn't even realize, even though he was right there, that he left out with this girl. Because they did it right there at the steps, right beside her.
Yeah, you're right.
But you're so focused and in your own world, instead of you reaching out to your husband then left with this woman. And you didn't even realize it. And it happened 2 feet from you.
Yeah. And this ends up, to a certain degree, just showing how maybe not rosy everything seemed. And you brought this up. Talk about, because you brought it up, where sometimes we shouldn't know these gritty details.
Right. Yeah, I was saying that, and I used the other example of the Martin Luther King movie, where they spent a good amount of time in that movie detailing his extramarital affairs. Mm-hmm. And they gave us, actually, I think, a lot of more detail than was necessary. And not to say that they should be hidden and that because of who they are, these things should be hidden. But my thing is, we don't need to know these details for the simple fact of it seems to overshadow what the things they did that really matter. For Martin Luther King, for, Madam C.J. Walker, for all of these different people, there are certain things and events in their lives that make them stand out and that we should learn about. When you give us these details on other things that they've done, we as human beings use those things to knock them down, because it's just kind of what we do as humans.
Yeah, and it's also kind of like we stop the movie or we stop the show.
Right, and it makes us devalue, whether it's subconsciously or consciously. We subconsciously, I think, devalue what it is that they did that is the reason why they stand out. And, for those reasons, I really don't know that we should really get into all these details. I mean, they're human beings. These details do make us understand more so. Yeah, these are real people. These are real human beings. But as human beings, we can't stop there and say, hey, they're human. We have to go, see what they did. Mm-hmm. And it makes you
almost
feel...
stop the narrative to make sure that we push it home that, this person did this, or this person was this way, or their marriage was like this.
Yeah. And yeah. So, I really don't know. I'm not saying definitively. It just makes me think, I wonder if really it is a good idea, for us to really know all this stuff, because what was your point? What was your point in telling us all of this? Why?
Yeah. And then you have like the issue of her daughter, who played by Tiffany Haddish. Was it Leela? I think it's Leela.
No, it's Dalila or something like that. Alayla.
No, I think it's Leela. But we'll see in a second when it comes up on screen. But the part that messed me up was she continually, and not to say that you have to love everything your parents do and pick up the family business and this, that, and the third, but she was almost to the point of sabotage. Like she brings in this man, that Alelia. So yeah, and they were calling her Leela. So you bring in this man who your mom already told you ain't worth 5 cents. But you're so intent on like, well, I'm going to do it my way. And not saying that you have to pick the man that your mom picked, but you're not even using any discernment on their character, their respect level, their discipline, their interaction and interpersonal relationships with the people they're around. So you just bring this man in, and this man is, oh boy, I could not stand that man. And he was horrible at every turn. And that fire he started, and then not taking ownership, which makes it worse. He's one of those people that don't even, but she brought that man in their lives. Then you want to be with the girl. Well, why you gotta ride a bike around the factory where we're working with the girl? And for a while, I was like, yo, why do we have this like B plot or C plot storyline with her and her girlfriend? It's not even necessary. And it wasn't. They did it to kind of put out the adoption storyline, which was cool, but you didn't need to have like the girl riding a bike around the factory. You could have had the photography scene, and that could have been enough. The singing to her was kind of corny.
Yeah, I think maybe it was to show the antics that her daughter would kind of do. I think it was kind of to kind of give an idea of what her daughter was like.
Okay.
In terms of that, because I've thought about this more, you know what I mean, since we've watched it, and I think that was to kind of give us a little bit of
Like
an idea
drive home how flighty she was, I
how
guess.
flighty she was, and to maybe give us an idea of, because I haven't looked into it in terms of how successful she was in continuing to run the business afterward. And so if she wasn't very successful, then be like, okay, well, I can understand why she was kind of, you know, all over the place. You know, I don't know. Again, that may be something else that I don't know if it should have been included, because it kind of takes away from the story. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm kind of on the fence with that. I don't know.
For me, it ended up being a distraction instead of a addition to the story. For instance, the knowledge that her stepfather, CJ's dad, would give to CJ or even give to Leela was like well placed and wasn't like over. Yeah, wasn't Madam's stepdad? Wasn't I mean not stepfather, father-in-law? Sorry, father-in-law. But like it was well placed, and he wasn't overplayed. You know, you didn't see him in tons of scenes where he was just dropping knowledge on people for the sake of doing it. But I'm like, yo, this girl riding a bike in here. She doing this. She going to New York. But she did get it together later on when she had the Dark Tower. Was it Dark Tower? Dark Tower. You know, she had it together, and the thing was dope. But it just seemed like we're going the long way around for a character that this movie is not about. But then I guess at the end we're like, oh, okay, this is because she's not going to have any kids, so this is why we get the adoption part. I think that could have been handled. I think her daughter, they didn't. 2 less scenes.
I think her daughter does eventually have kids, from the little bit I read, because I think she got married a few times, and she does eventually have. I could be wrong. I can double check what I think I read, but yeah, it was. It just makes you wonder, okay, why are they including all these different things? You know, some people may say, hey, it's part of Madam Walker's story, is to tell the story of her only daughter. I don't know. I guess it really depends on how you look at it, but it made me, you know, some things to me just seem like, okay, why are we really, you know, doing this? But, you know, I guess it's all about perspective, you know.
Yeah, and then I did want to get into the pride issue. The pride issue with Madam C.J. Walker, where she was always, I mean, we even see in the scene right now, she was very quick to scream on somebody. You know what I'm saying? Always wanted to yell at somebody. And had to be her way, the highway. And it was like this thing where she was unflinching to her detriment at times. And she ended up looking kind of like the Steve Jobs of hair, instead of like this, you know, like we said, with knowing all of these things, like, you know, we ended up seeing these sides, or this side of her that I'm not sure I wanted to see.
Yeah, it's yeah, you know, because the thing is, she seemed like she was doing too much. I understand back then, as a woman, as a black woman, you had to really prove yourself. You had to, you know, be 10 times better or what have you. But she took it to the extreme, in my opinion, because everything had to be done herself except when it came to the work. She didn't mind having other people work because you had to, right? So she had all these other people actually mixing the stuff and packaging. So you had to have other people do that. So you didn't mind having people help do that because it had to be done. You can't do all of that. But in terms of in terms of when her husband wanted to step in and help. For instance, when those white gentlemen came to the factory and she was trying to convince them to put in and invest. I felt like she needed to step back and let her husband handle that, for the simple fact of what time that you're in, and
the black man, the white man, he was drunk that time.
I'm sorry, you're right. The black men, the black gentleman.
Yeah.
But the time that you're in, and so they still see it as men should be in charge. Now the thing is, it's okay to allow them to think that or allow them to believe that men should be in charge. They know that you're in charge. You understand? They know this is your product, but it's okay to appease them and allow your husband to step in and speak.
Yeah, that was a scene that was kind of messed up. It was almost like she silenced him in that, and I just kept wondering if these roles were reversed, how would he have been seen in this? Because they position her as like this powerful woman. If these roles were reversed,
it would have been seen as typical for the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they would have still colored him as a man that was, misogynistic, that he was. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if these roles were reversed, like, we're revering her for treating people like this, like her daughter, her husband, her father-in-law, stuff like that, treating everyone around her like sort of expendable employees, and we're kind of like revering that. But if it was
justified because of what we know she accomplished and because of what she was fighting for, and as a woman, I'm saying it's not justified. I felt like in that moment that was the opportunity to allow her husband to be a part of it, and not just feel a part of it, but be a part of it. Allow him to speak to these men. She felt like she had to do everything herself, and it's like. And I didn't like how she was always saying my.
Yeah, now that we look at it, as far as the sweat equity, this was a family business. Father-in-law was up there mixing on the stove.
Father-in-law, daughter was son-in-law, as trifling as he was.
Daughter was selling people at the door, and Husband was, making ads and washing people's hair. Everybody
pitched in.
This was a family business.
Yeah.
But you kind of like played them low, and it was messed up, man. Like, I look at it and I'm like, dang.
It was.
I kind of because it kind of messes with my vision of her now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I said, it's kind of like Steve Jobs' version of hair. Like, people would be like, oh, Steve Jobs so great. Yeah, but he was a piece of crap to his family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And so, yeah, I totally agree. I was like, she's not, the way she's dismissing her husband and belittling her husband and diminishing her husband is just not okay. It's just, and the thing was, it also made you feel bad because he loved her so.
Yeah, he wasn't some kind of like bad, husband or horrible or absentee husband or whatever. Like, he loved that woman. And she slowly, over the years, marginalized him, belittled him, like sidelined him. And, unfortunately, his blind spot was Dora. You know what I'm saying? And what happened to be just like, oh, well, everybody else is going out. Let's just go out. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't want nobody to be around her, which was true. If he went in there and tried to say, she would have chewed him up. she would have bit his head off if he went in there and tried like baby,
yeah, because she already blamed him.
Yeah, she already blamed him and already like snapped on him in front of everybody. So if he even went, it would have probably just got worse. So I do agree that she needed her space that night. I don't agree that you go out and party.
Oh, absolutely. Well, even if he went out to party, he didn't need to go with Dora.
Yeah, but even going out to party, because from someone like Madam C.J. Walker, her from my perspective, her idea would be, oh, so you see that I lost this opportunity and you're partying? Are you happy about this? You know what I'm saying? That just seems like
I don't
how
know.
I think it would be taken.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to suppose, but yeah, he was dead wrong for that. He was because and let me say this and tread lightly when I say it. That being said, with how focused Madam Walker was, how overly focused Madam Walker was on being this huge businesswoman. Not to say that she shouldn't be focused, because she should, but being overly focused and then sacrificing her relationship with her husband, she left a door cracked for Dora. Yeah. And I'm not, before y'all start, Jesus.
No,
I'm not blaming Madam Walker. I'm not putting it on her. What I'm saying is, you left that door cracked, and you see how she literally sneaked and slunk and
because
slithered
there's always people like
her
that
way
that
in.
are like looking how to mess up your relationship or how to, you know what I'm saying? I mean, there's men like that. There's women like that.
I don't think she was looking on how to mess up their relationship. I think she had been around enough to see that Madam Walker was belittling him and was treating him a certain way, and she found him attractive. And she figured she ain't paying enough attention to see what I'm doing, which she wasn't.
No, she wasn't.
And she saw that opportunity. The fact that she did that in her house.
That was bold.
The fact that she did that in her house tells you that she already knew. She ain't even pay. She's literally not paying attention right now. I'm about to take her husband literally out this door, and she has no idea.
Yeah.
She has no idea. I mean, they were a few feet away. Hello.
Yeah, you're right on that. I mean, it wasn't even.
It didn't take a whole lot of. Yeah, it didn't take a whole lot. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not blaming Madam Walker. What I'm saying is, she sacrificed her relationship with her husband, to build this business. And I feel some kind of way about that. You know what I mean? I really do. And I don't think it's a fair statement to say that, because some people might say, well, men do it all the time. Well, guess what? They wrong too.
Yeah.
It's not an either or.
The frequency of the opposite doesn't justify your actions.
Exactly.
Or doesn't validate them either.
Yeah. I just don't, I just didn't think, it just made me feel a certain way, about it, because it would have been so easy to include him because he was so on board for her. He was so adoring of her and so supportive. So it would have been easy for her to just include him, to just embrace him. And because he was so supportive, you would think she would have wanted to embrace him and to love on him more and to give him more respect and to give him more of a position in what she was doing. But she didn't. And he made a comment at one point and said, I'm tired of being called Mr. Madam C.J. Walker. And I think she contributed to him being looked at that way, because even around other people, she wasn't aware of being around other people when speaking to him. She belittled him in front of other people.
Yeah, and that was messed up.
And that's a no-go now in 2020. I know that was a no-go then. Men are going to automatically have no respect for him when they see that. None whatsoever. It just, I don't know. It saddened me, quite honestly. It just saddened me to see that. And another perspective is, so do we have to look at it as she had to choose between being a loving and supportive wife or being a successful businesswoman?
I don't think that one has to suffer for the other.
But that's what this story is kind of showing us. So I'm just trying to think of what people may get out of this. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I don't think one needs to be done, because you wouldn't say this on the opposite. On the opposite, they would have been like, he needs to make time and he needs to do this and this, that, and the third. Which, yeah, is valid. He
Yeah,
needs to make that time.
yeah,
So does she.
right. Because like even when I was thinking about
Like even in this time of us watching this episode, we've seen her snap on everybody.
Yeah, and let me go back to, I can't remember what it was that she had accomplished, but it was something she accomplished. And then her husband, CJ, said, why don't we get a steak,
Oh yeah,
some cognac, and sleep in late tomorrow?
I think she can't remember what it was. I think she ended up like getting the house, or I think they ended up selling like twice as much as they used to, or something like that.
So it was some goal they had met, or something great they had done, and he said that, and it was like he was saying it in a very playful, romantic, kind of seductive way to her. Yeah. He was really excited about it, and she gave him this blank look, and was like, I forgot what she said, something that had to do with business. She didn't even answer him, smile at him, nod. No baby, nothing. She just went straight to, we need to do X, Y, and Z for work. And it's just like, that hurt me. You know what I mean? And I'm not even your husband. You know, like, it's like, you know.
Yeah. Now, I will give props to the No Limit soldier known as Ransom. Ransom was a straight up soldier. Like, he held it down for Madam C.J. Walker. Yeah. A lot of Madam C.J. Walker's success is due to Ransom, who, when she met, was, unfortunately,
he was an educated man working in a service position that was extremely demeaning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that the position was demeaning, but
people
demeaned
people. Yeah,
white people demeaned people in that position. Yeah.
And seeing the way he held her down at every turn was awesome.
Yeah.
And he was a true, like, man, that dude was a stand-up guy. And it was sad to hear, or, you know, see it played out, of course, with his son passing. And the part where his cousin, of course, that he was back and forth with, Sweetness, you know, standing up for his son and being killed for it. Yeah. And that was tough, especially knowing the relationship that they had. So it's just things like that, you know, really show how invested he was in her dream and in her tenacity. But go ahead. I know you saw something there.
Yeah, because we're watching one of the episodes on mute as we're talking about this, and this is the part where she went to church, and she saw the young ladies that were supposed to be opening salons for her, but ended up going to work for Addie. And she made the comment about, you know, everybody's head turns when Addie walks in. No man has ever looked at me, including your daddy or CJ. And I'm like, you're wrong.
That's not true.
CJ always looked at you with love and adoration, and he always called you beautiful, even though you would shake your head and turn and say no. He always called you beautiful.
Just because that's not attention.
Right.
Yeah.
That's and not you right.
Can't, because you're mad at someone, doesn't give you the right to change history on them. You know what I'm saying? It's your husband, you know, loved and adored you.
Yeah. Now, was he wrong for cheating? Absolutely. Yeah. Ain't no getting around that.
That doesn't change the fact that he called you beautiful multiple times.
Yeah.
Lifted you up when nobody else was, supported your business, made sure that everybody else sacrificed along with him to make sure that you were able to see your dream come to fruition.
Yeah. I think, you know, the mistake that her husband made is, instead of just leaving because he was unhappy, he decided to you know, cheat within his marriage. So that was completely wrong.
And that's something that I always advocate for. If you are ready to go, then leave or get counseling or whatever. But once you start bringing people into your relationship, it's only going to make it worse.
Yeah. I mean, when those things happen, you're wrong for cheating. The person that is cheating with you is wrong. Everybody is wrong. And when I point out what Madam Walker did, it's not to say that it's her fault, because he's a grown man. He makes his own choices.
Yes.
I'm not saying it's his excuse. I'm saying there are reasons. There's a road that leads you there. Nobody just wakes up one day and says, you know what? I can't wait to cheat. There's usually a road and a path that leads there. And there are different things that happen, to lead you in that direction. You ultimately have to decide to go. But there are different things that lead you there or guide you there. But yeah. And yeah, go ahead.
I did want to jump on the moment that she kind of makes her move and we see her have her health issue. We almost see her ratchet up how curt she is with people. But you can't treat people like they know that you're dying and they don't know that you're dying. You can't keep pertinent information away from people and then treat them as if they know it. And I just thought that was kind of foul too. So even though it's weird, and I was talking about the way this was kind of written, the way it was handled and acted. It's not that the actors can't act. Everything was well done. It's just what they focused on that left me with a sort of a bad taste in my mouth over her. Not saying that she didn't, because we talked and conversely with Dolomite, and how when that movie ends, you kind of have like this entrepreneurial jolt of energy, like, man, like he against all odds, he went and did. Do you think that Dolomite did bad stuff? Of course he did, but they focused on his
drive, his fight, his push, his tenacity.
And this, I think they focused more on how she treated people, to the point where, it definitely colored how I felt or feel about her to a certain degree. Now, I will say they made sure to color Booker T. Washington. Woo! Oh, they called him the picked one and all kinds of, the favorite one and all kinds of mess. Now, at the same time, when you met him, or at least his portrayal in this, he definitely acted like he was the picked one. And I've seen in some writings and some documentaries before where people would say that was kind of his demeanor. But of course, without me knowing him, I'm not sure for sure. But the way, like W.E.B. Du Bois and stuff, you got the idea that not everybody, like, all that glitters ain't gold. Like, on the outside, you're like, oh man, like Booker T. Washington, man, he's killing it. He's doing things. He's out there for us. And like the other people that was out there, of course, for y'all too, was like, yeah, we don't mess with him like that. Oh man, and I thought that was kind of funny because they kind of made it a point to drive that home too. They definitely rung that bell like 2 or 3 times in this show. But in that moment, or in that kind of a couple of episodes where they handled that, I do like that we saw her mobilize the women, and it kind of goes to sort of like in the Dolomite film where, what was it, when they were trying to make the movie, and he said, well, you're talking about a film that only works, in a couple of cities in a few blocks. And he said, but every city has those couple blocks. And, she realized, I think at least at that moment, that I can serve my people. I don't have to go and go to men and be like, please give me the stage. Because you saw what happened to Addie when she got on that stage. So she was like, okay, cool. I'll serve my people. I'll make sure I holler at black women because there's enough black women out here, that I don't have to go through your door to make it work.
Yeah, and that was her whole thing too from the very beginning, was about serving black women.
Yeah.
The whole focus was about, making black women's hair easier to take care of and just taking care of you. So her whole focus from the very beginning was black women. So yes, I think that was great that she continued that. And she really never veered from that. She really didn't. That's one thing I'll give her. She never veered from that in terms of empowering black women. Even when she made that final decision to pull out of the deal with I forgot the name of the store, but to pull out of that deal after she had gotten her mansion.
Was it 10 cents or less, I believe?
Something like that. And she decided to keep them after they went on strike. And I think she realized, like, you know what, I do need these women, and I do need to, because I'm in the position to, I need to continue to give them the opportunity to be as successful as they are, versus,
I can't like lose the streets, just to kind of get this, because if I lose them, they're my base. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't think it was. I don't know if in that moment it was even a thought of about her. I think she really thought about them. I honestly do. I really honestly do think she thought about them, because at that point she was making so much money. Losing them, be like, okay, I get this deal with them, I'm good to go, whatever. So I really think that was her thinking about them, because she was in a position to do whatever she really wanted to do and be successful. I think she had that frame of mind where she was going to be successful with or without them. I really do believe that.
Just want to be successful.
But she was thinking about them. I really believe so in that moment.
Word. I guess with that said, the only thing that I want to hit after this was kind of how we look at her now.
No, we got one more major thing we have to touch on.
Oh, what do you want to jump on?
The fact that she did indeed steal that lady's.
Oh no!
We can't forget that.
You are right on that one. I forgot.
She admitted
to stealing Addie's formula. And see, from the outset, at the beginning, it made it seem like, which is another thing that colored how I look at her. But the way it made it seem like she had the last bit of her, Addie Monroe stuff, and she was like, you know what, I can do better than this. You know what I'm saying? All I need to do is put together, some ingredients like this, and it showed her testing with the lye and everything. And so it really seemed, let the Rough Riders go by real quick. Rough Riders. But it really seemed like she saw a product and was like, you know what? I can do something better than this without stealing it, just making my own. Like, okay, cool, you have your hair thing. Let me make my own hair thing. And they show her testing and, mixing in the bowls and stuff. So I'm thinking she making her own thing. No, she just straight stole that joint. And I'm like, well, if you gonna steal that joint, that changes your legacy tremendously. Like, I don't know if we can even use self-made now. Like, because you didn't even come up with the formula. You ain't like, now she did go out there and sell it. She did go out there and market it. She did go out there and
she did say
spearhead the course.
She did say she changed the formula, you know, but it doesn't change the fact that you did indeed steal Addie's formula. And I did not see that twist coming when CJ was on the phone talking to what's her name, Dora.
Yeah.
And she was like, I know you have a secret on her. I know you have something. And I didn't know that was it. I had no idea that was it. And they told some stuff.
Yeah.
They told some stuff in this documentary, or not documentary, but this series.
Yeah, and that's what really colors my view of her. So with that said, how do you feel now about Madam C.J. Walker? Like, because for me, I'm like, yeah, she's, first, and I might be wrong, but the first black woman millionaire. She was out there killing it, making hair stuff, and just making it wonderful for black women everywhere. She's so awesome. And now I'm like, I mean, she's all right. I mean, she did do some cool stuff, but she was kind of whack. Like, kind of whack to her daughter, kind of whack to her husband, kind of whack to her father-in-law. She kind of didn't care about anyone unless they had some sort of relation to helping her get ahead with her business. And that is what we call leeches, snakes, stuff like that. That's that type of activity. If the only way you can treat me nice is if I have something to do for you, it's not a good look.
Yeah. I mean, I think she did love CJ, because in the we have to think about the beginning of their relationship.
Yeah.
She did indeed love him. So I'm not going to take that from her. I believe, of course, she loved her daughter. Of course she did. I just think
this thing kind of took over her life,
yeah,
I guess?
I think this thing took over her life, and it took over...
and beating Addie became such a thing. It became an obsession for her.
It did, because, I think that whole thing just hurt her so, and I think it came from a place of, what she's always experienced as a darker skinned woman. We know enough history to know that light versus dark, thing, especially of course back then, that was still very fresh, and they referred to at one point only being 40 years out from emancipation.
Yep.
So it's still extremely fresh.
This is super new.
Yeah. So that was something that I think that was such an obsession with her, because that was her life. All her life, she's either been directly or indirectly told that you're less than because you're darker. You can't because you're darker. You're darker, you're black, and you're a woman.
Yeah.
I mean, like, good God.
Oh, also remember, she's big too.
Yes.
So, like I said, there you've got the pretty privilege, the standard of beauty privilege against you. You've got the dark skinned against you. Then you've got this whole thing of just like, well, you ain't supposed to be running no business. You know what I'm saying? And I'm of the mind like, yo, if you got this, run with it. I'm like, look, I just want us to win. You know what I'm saying? Us meaning like you and I. Like, say, like people always be like, in our marriage right now, you stay at home. But guess what? If someone calls you tomorrow and like, hey, I got a job for you and we're gonna pay you $2 million a year. Guess who's staying at home? Me. I'm like, I want us to win. I'm not interested in, and I think that's where CJ was early on. He was just like, you know what? I see you got this idea, you got this fire, you got this, let's do this. Let's go for it. You know what I'm saying? Let's shoot for it. See what we get. So I don't know. I don't know where I see her now. I mean, she's still a legend. She was still ahead of her time. Yeah, she still accomplished what she accomplished.
It's just the means by which she did it. It just makes you a little, less comfortable.
Yeah, and what's perfect with this? That statement of never meet your heroes. Never meet your heroes. When you meet your heroes, because I've met some in my life, I met some heroes where I was like, man, they are really cool. And I've met some heroes where I'm like, wow. It's tough to listen to your music now, or it's tough to watch your movies now because you are not a nice person. So yeah, to just see how she's always snapping on somebody. I'm like, dang. Like, unless somebody was doing something exactly how you wanted it, when you wanted it, you had no like, what did you do for someone else in this that wasn't in service of your business? And that's the tough part. That's the tough part to watch. In general, I enjoyed the show. We're looking at the wardrobe and stuff. Fantastic. The actors definitely came through.
The hair was on point.
Yeah, hair was on point.
The wigs and all.
I was never bored. I was always engaged.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so wigs, all that stuff on point. It's just, it's hard meeting who I guess they're telling us Madam C.J. Walker is. And from the credits, we know that at least some of the estate is involved in this. So I guess it's Hollywood, so there's always going to be a slant, but it's true-ish. Yeah, he's one of the executive producers. So yeah. So holla at us. We'll holla at you down in the comments.
I'm interested in knowing what you guys thought, and I'm especially interested in knowing what other women thought about her relationship with her husband.
Okay.
To see how many, if y'all saw what I saw, or if I'm crazy. Okay.
No, I don't think you're crazy. But yeah. So before we get out of here, Lady Lisa, say peace. NERDSoul, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere in them streets. Holla at me. Got music on Spotify, all that jazz. So much love to y'all. Until next time, this is us you saying thanks for listening and peace.